When you look at something, do you see loss or do you see gain? Are you seeing a hole in your heart, or are you seeing something that's overflowing? We're going to talk a little bit about reframing today. Reframing is the way we take a situation, we use this in behaviorism a lot, and look at it in a different way, in a way that's to an advantage. When we look at things and we aren't reframing them, meaning you think of a picture. Let's think of a photo and you're like, oh man, that photo's dated. I really like it, but it's old. So you literally take it to a frame shop, or you go buy a frame and put it in a new, more modern frame. And all of a sudden you have a whole new picture. Maybe you change the matting. The core is the same, but what you put around it changes the entire presentation. That's what reframing is. And in behaviorism, we have to reframe our thoughts and the way we look at things, or we will get stuck with a negative attitude. People won't want to be around you because you're constantly complaining, lamenting, nothing's ever good enough. Even though you don't feel like that's what's happening, it's also robbing your joy, feeding depression, and other issues. So what's an example? Say you have a child away at college. You could be a married couple, you could be a single empty nester, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess their room's empty. I saw a commercial yesterday about this, actually. Their room is empty. Every time I look at it, I'm gonna really miss them. You know, they're busy, they don't need me, they're not calling. And I saw this cool commercial yesterday. I was streaming something and it said, child gone or Airbnb opportunity. And they converted the child's room into an Airbnb where you could make money. I love that commercial because it was such a good example of reframing something. And I was like, go Airbnb. Yes, I've used them, I'm not promoting them, but the reframe in that commercial was brilliant. And they were definitely speaking to the empty nest audience. So what can you do? Say your child is away, and you know, if you're a single empty nester, you may need the extra money. You may need to rent it, not in an Airbnb, but you can rent to travel nurses, you can rent to students, you can just rent a room out to somebody in a life transition, you know, changing areas. I've done all that stuff, and it's just a different way to, instead of saying, here's what I don't have my kid talking to me every day, I don't have them in their room anymore, and what if they come back, what if they drop out of college, and looking at it, repackaging it, putting a new frame on that reality to change the way it looks, like the Airbnb thing. So say your child isn't calling you every day and you're sitting home waiting for that call, and boy, I hope they're doing this, and why didn't they call me about that? Or worse yet, they're in college and you're wondering, why aren't they calling me and telling me about their homework? I've known people who on any given day I could talk to, that when their adult kids were in college, if I was talking to them, oh yeah, Johnny's working on a paper this week for his philosophy class and he's got to get it in by Thursday. Now he only has 4 ideas and he's got to have 6 major points. And I'm thinking, what? Your child is at college and away at college. Are they away because of your micromanaging or your helicopter parenting? And you feel like that's a miss because you're not there to hover and they're needing the space. How can you reframe that? Hey, wow, the reframe on that could be, look at this, I have all this extra time. I'm not running their life. I don't have to run their life. I probably shouldn't have ran their life, because otherwise I'm telling them, I don't trust that you can do it. And I want you to think about that every time you're saying, what about your homework? Did you do this? Blah, 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 to your college students that don't live with you. What you're really saying to them is, I don't trust that you can do it. So I have to micromanage you because I don't trust that you can get it done. A reframe on that is, okay, wow, they're gone and maybe they're only going to come home a couple times a year, and in the summer, I can Airbnb this room. I can go join a bowling league or a book club. I can finally, you know, especially if you have a mate and you haven't been having date nights your whole life and your relationship has gotten estranged, You can rebuild that relationship. You can go to counseling and try to get to know each other. You can tell yourself, wow, I'm finally free of all that obligation. Good job, me. I raised my kids. Good job, mom and dad. Good job, partner, whoever you're with. And now go celebrate it. That's a reframe. It's not a loss, it's a celebration. You have spent 20, 30 years of your life raising children, and now you're free of that obligation to do the things you love. That is a reframe on a situation, and you can apply that to anything. So that when you're feeling bad, or people who love you and are close to you are saying, Elizabeth, again with you and the kids. Someone commented on one of my videos a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what the example was on empty nesting, and they said, oh my gosh, she said in her comment something along the lines of, I hear my friend do this to her kids all the time, and I got the vibe she could feel that her friend was just shaming and condemning her kids, and she could see how it was pushing them away. So in every situation that's hard, I want you to challenge yourself to reframe it. Here's the picture, here's what it used to look like, and here's the old frame, but how can I reframe it so it's better? What can you do in that situation? You're calling your kid, your heart's lonely. You might have a mate and go, oh my gosh, I'm left with my mate. Yikes, I'm not even sure I like them anymore. You've heard me say that before. What can you do to reframe your situation to make that a better picture? Now, like I said, now we can go to counseling, now we can go to therapy, now we can spend more time together. Now I can take that class. Now I don't have to pay for all that extra food, all of those things. And hey, if you are so blessed to be able to send your children to college and pay for that, God bless you. But if you, a lot of people, I didn't have that. And a great amount of, I was a commuter, my kids were commuters, and a lot of us just weren't blessed to have a family that was willing to pay for that. So, and to take out those loans and to help their kids, because legally, technically, talk to an attorney, once they're 18, they can go according to the law of the land, and you're not financially responsible. As a parent, you probably want to help them, and if you have the means, definitely help them. But be careful with, I'm paying for this, and if you're going to be so generous, again, I never had that type of a blessing, but just be careful you're not, if you choose to do that for your kids, let's not pound them with that as guilt. Make it clear on the onset. I am going to pay for your college. Here are the expectations. Sign an agreement. If you have the cash to pay, or if you're going to take loans or sign loans to pay for your kid to go to school, you need to have an agreement between you and the kids. This means you will get this type of grades, you will do this, you will do this. Because I see a lot of family members, the kids now at the end of college, and the parents and you have a curfew and you have this, but that was never an original agreement. So now you're making up rules. Like, you want to reframe things, but do it in a healthy way, and don't use your reframe as a way to beat up your kid later on, or put new rules that didn't exist when they started if you're choosing to pay for their college, or in any situation. If you choose to help your kids as adults, you need to do that with nothing expected in return. Nothing. Or it's not a gift. If it's a tit for tat, you're going to find your kids living on tuna, well, that's even expensive, cat food, and you find out, oh my gosh, you didn't have money, why didn't you ask me for it? Because the cost of the $3.50 for the can of tuna is more than I want to pay of hearing from you on what I owe you. That's kind of, we're getting off into a little bit of a different category, but it kind of felt like somebody needed to hear that. So reframe your day. Do it over and over when you're lonely. Wow. Look, like I said, I'm doing all of this myself, and even just recently in the last week when I had, as a single empty nester, time, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? I just want to call, tell my kids what's going on. They're out living their life. They're not even thinking about me, and that's okay. So what did I do? I had a list of things: touch up paint, repainting my fireplace, cleaning the garage, just stuff around the house that I needed to do for the longest time. And I took 2 days, my 2 days off, and I got that stuff done, and it feels great. Because instead of sitting and lamenting, I reframed, I have this time, I recognized where my thinking was going and choose to do something productive with that instead of feeling sorry for myself. And that's what you need to do in every situation. Wow, remember when we used to have to buy 5 steaks? Now we only have to get 2. We're saving money. Everything is a reframe. We can save that money and plan a vacation. Or if you're single, save that money. You're paying those adult kids in your house and do something for yourself. Build up to a treat or something you thought was frivolous. You could do these things. And oh my goodness, I usually introduce myself sooner. My name is Dawn, the Recovery Lady, and that's Dawn, D-A-W-N, like the morning. I'm a licensed behavioral health clinician doing life recovery tips, currently expanding on my Empty Nest series because I'm in it myself and sharing these things. We are stronger together as we do this. You can do this. If you haven't liked, shared, subscribed. I know my niche is small doing empty nesting right now, but a lot of the stuff is applicable, like reframing, to a lot of different situations. So please like, subscribe, and share. I think I have 150 subscribers at this point. I'm just inching up, but I just put it out there. Hope for the best. Trust God with the rest. And that's it. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Mwah.